Greetings. We here at PLD Projects want to make it known that we wholeheartedly support the strikes by both SAG-AFTRA and the WGA against the greedy corporate studio executives. It is a fight for basic human decency. Our reviews, discussions, and critiques are in no way supporting the studios, merely dissecting the art and how these wonderful actors and writers continue to influence us on a daily basis. We thank you. PLD Projects presents Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast featuring PLD and Matty Gunner. May the Force be with you, always. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to PLD Projects. Welcome back to Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast. I am your host, PLD. With me, as always, my co-pilot, the Huang to my Ahsoka. At this point, I don't Huang or Sabine. I'm gonna give you Huang because I think you're more sarcastic than Sabine is. So, Matty Gunner, my friend, how are you?
I'll take that, especially because Huang's British, and yeah. I'll take that.
I just let you be David Tennant, so yeah, you better take that because I know how much I hold David Tennant.
Yeah, how am I? I'm trying to take the positive with a shitload of negative right now.
You are under attack, basically. You are basically under attack.
Basically, the hyperdrive is leaking. I have no power in the entire top of my house. Ooh. Everything. This is why you are currently getting me with the vintage, the throwback, the old school, as Jesse Swift likes to call it, Matty Gunner lighting, where I am currently subdued in darkness. This is because I have no power in the top of my house. Luckily, from my background of years and years ago, working on job sites and stuff, I have an electrical and a building background. So by next week, well, by tonight, everything should be hunky-dory. How are you?
I'm doing okay. It looks like we have walked into the world between worlds. We're seeing the past version of Matty Gunner at this point. I'm okay with that. I'm doing quite all right. My kid's going back to school tomorrow. Just had a big celebration with my family recently. My sister got a new house. Doing all sorts of partying, all sorts of imbibing and having fun as one is wont to do. But I gotta tell you, all the excitement and all the fun I had this week, I think my most fun experience was last night. I'm not gonna lie. I do have a confession to make. I'm trying to be as professional as I can be, and I try to watch the show at least twice, if not three times, before I do the show. To give my best once, twice, three times.
Three times a week. Yep.
Exactly. And I could lie to you and say I didn't have time to rewatch it, yada yada yada, and say, but I only watched it once. The only thing I can say in my behalf is that I basically spent 2 episodes worth of time just rewinding and watching the last 5 minutes. So I watched the last 5 minutes like over and over and over and over again. So
can we talk about this for a second?
Oh, am I queuing up a Matty rant? I feel like
you're queuing up a Matty rant here.
Okay, here we go.
I get you guys you're loving that this is primetime TV now. Some of us don't get it until we wake up in the morning, right? Some of us still have jobs or we work late, or there's a reason that a lot of us can't watch it straight up. I wake up every day to get ready for work and everything, go for a run at 5 a.m. every day. This is a well-known fact about me. I need my 8 hours sleep. 5 a.m. wake up. I woke up to a text from my best friend saying, "Don't fucking go on social media." And I was like, "Hey, why?" He was like, "Just don't go on until you watch Ahsoka." And I was like, "Okay, cool. Enough, something awesome or something big must have happened." And I went about my day. I completely forgot about it because it was 5 a.m. So I was like, cool, I'm I guess I'm going into work a little bit earlier than usual. Cool. So I went to work a little bit earlier, went about my day, got in, watched the episode, and then I looked at social media. Some of you absolute brainless twats just can't take 5 minutes, can't wait 6 to 12, 24 hours maybe. You have, I get posting that you're excited about something. Cool. All power to you. Go ahead. There is a mark as hidden function on Twitter now that you can do. It's not hard to do. There is, the whole thing of you can just be like, oh my God, that thing. You don't have to say what it is. And you certainly, as shit, don't have to screen cap something like an hour or like two people. I unfollowed 2 people. Shout out to these 2 Star Wars cosplayers that I used to follow now. That like they just screen capped it within 10 minutes of it happening. Obviously, I'm seeing it hours later, but looking at the time of the tweet, it was like 10 minutes after the show had happened.
Right.
And it was the big thing. And here's my thing to everyone.
Christian Harloff's podcast?
No.
Oh, the big thing that happened. Gotcha.
The big thing that happened in the episode. And here's my thing to everyone who's saying, oh, if something's happening, you shouldn't go on social media. You should watch it. Fuck you. I read the news on social media. I talk to my friends on social media. I do my life there's more things in my life revolving around more than a TV show or the TV space, the movie space. I read the news on my social media because I don't just stick to one platform because I like to have my news from different places. I talk to my friends on social media because I'm not a big texter or phone caller. Most of my friends are in the States, so we talk over DMs on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, blah, 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 blah. You and me, we talk over Facebook Messenger. Here's my thing. There are other uses for social media than just posting spoilers and talking about the hit thing because you want to be the first person to talk about it because you want to get clicks. Fuck you, man. It's just like, and I'm sorry to come out of the gate and we're lucky we're not at the monetizing stage of the channel yet. When we get to that stage, I will cool it down. But for now, you're getting both barrels. If you are one of those people that screen capped, mentioned that character's name, what is wrong with you? Why do you have this desire, this need to be like, oh my God, I have to post about this. I have to post on my social media about this. You can talk to you. We all probably follow the same 100 to 200 people. We're all probably in the same group chats, the same Discord chats as each other. Can you not talk in there? Can you not have the common decency to respect people that might be working late, that might use social media for other things? There's just no situational awareness. And it's just you wonder why the fandom gets pissed off at stuff like this.
Well, first off, I got to say, I always thought I used to be a Sith Lord back in the day. And then I met Matty Gunner. And I realized I'm the Jedi and he's a Sith Lord. I might be some kind of Balin type Jedi, whereas maybe still be a fallen Jedi. But compared to Matty, he definitely has the red lightsaber. I might have the orange occasionally. But no, I actually do agree. I think there's a way you can talk about it on social media without going all into it. I don't think there's any need to have a screen cap, especially if you're not going to hide it. I don't think you need to mention the name. I think you can be excited and talk about it with people and then bring it to private messaging. I do stuff like that on social media all the time. I don't think I actually even posted last night because I was just afraid of what I was going to post. So I just I'll usually just put it oh my God, that was awesome. Can't wait for next week. And that's all you need to do because we all get it. We all get you're excited about. We're excited about it. But you can there's private chats in Discord, there's private chats and DMs, all that stuff. And I can tell you, you're gonna be able to talk about it soon enough. And if you didn't get it, this is a spoiler review.
Yeah, this is a spoiler review, by the way. So
this is gonna be a full spoiler review. So if you're not looking for spoilers here, then you're gonna have to check off and come back later.
This is just my thing, and I'm gonna end it here. It's just everyone that's saying don't go on social media if you don't want to get spoiled. Why?
I get it.
Who are you to tell me I can't check my social media platforms? I use it for other things. I talk to my friends. I read the news.
Unfortunately, there's other people make it so. That's the problem. Unfortunately, there's going to be people who are going to spoil it for you. That's the thing, unfortunately.
It's just
It
so
sucks. I know. I
it's
agree.
so stupid.
I agree.
It's so like what are you gaining? What are you because the same people that watch your content are gonna watch your content. You don't have to be the first person put it out because most of the time, guess what? Unless you're Real Rejects, Christian Harloff, Koi Janju, the like Star Wars Explained, Force Center, these big channels. Unless you're one of them, you ain't gonna be the first. Okay, I hate to tell you this. Until you start reaching those level of audience, you're not going to be the hashtag first. So knock it the fuck off.
Agreed.
Rant
Okay, Matty,
over.
take a breath. Take a breath. Okay,
shout out to Liquid Death, not a sponsor, but
they should be at this point.
You see how red I've gone at this point.
I have seen that. Like you're as red as your lightsaber at this point. It's getting pretty nuts. But all right, well, the rest of the show now is going to be positive. I think at this point. So let's move on to a positive side of things. Let's talk about what everybody wants to spoil.
Can we have like a 15-minute segment of the show, which is just like transcendental meditation where I just calm down?
That could be. We're going to pause right here. And we're who's the droid? Who's the droid? Later. Who's the droid that heads the meditation? That's what I want to know. There's got to be some kind of droid that can do that.
Oh, there's got to be a droid that's got like.
But it's definitely not Chopper. Because Chopper would not be good for meditation.
They have like purr-gill noises instead of like whale sounds.
I like that. All right. Let's get into this episode, Fallen Jedi, season 1, episode 4. And there is a lot of shit going on. And I'm going to say it now. We'll get into it a little bit later on. I think this is just the precursor of the holy shit we're going to get soon. But on Holy Snokes, we always go into a little bit of news, and then we go into our main topic of the day. The main topic of the day and the news are the same thing. It's all Ahsoka, pretty much.
We also have coming on later in the show. We have a very special guest, new first time seasonal co-host, but we'll leave that later.
I was gonna bring it up. You're jumping the gun, impatient like a Sith as always. Yeah. I'm getting there. We always talk about the news. The episode is the news this week, except for one little tidbit I want to drop. One rumor that has been making its way around. It's kind of a duh kind of moment, but I still want to make a quick comment on it. The rumor being the skeleton crew has been indeed pushed back to 2024 due to the strikes, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, what I want to know more about that is the fact of how is that going to affect everything else as far as, the Acolyte's supposed to be coming out next year. The Andor is supposed to be coming out the year, like after next year. Mandalorian coming up soon. I mean, it's just the domino effect, obviously, at this point. This isn't officially confirmed by anybody, as far as I know. No, Lucasfilm hasn't said anything. Disney hasn't said anything. But I do want to comment on it and be mad and say, Disney and all the other studios, get your shit together and pay your people. Pay the writers, pay the actors, etc. So we don't have anything else pushed back. Because I want to see Star Wars on my screen in the fall. I don't want to get to the end of Ahsoka and then have to wait a year. I mean, granted, it's more important that they get their money because that's obviously people getting a lot. Their actual worth. That's actually more important than me seeing skeleton crew. But I want both things. I want both things to happen, damn it.
I want it all.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Exactly. All right. Beyond that, let's get into the episode where we always do our reviews here. We break this down into segments so we can kind of have a nice way to kind of hit and run on some of these topics and some of these themes, some of these high moments, low moments, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of high this week, a lot of low. But let's get into it. The first category we always get to here on Holy Snokes here is the one and the only Hondo Watch 2023.
Who wants to see Hondo? Talk to me.
And of course, if you haven't been, if it's your first time here, what Hondo Watch is simply this. Does the famed pirate, smuggler, living legend Hondo Ohnaka appear in this piece of Star Wars media because he should be appearing in every piece of Star Wars media as far as we're concerned? He is our channel mascot. And the answer, my friends, I almost don't want to push it.
This effort is no longer profitable.
Once more into the no. Still no Hondo. Why? Why, Matty? Why do they do this to us? Why can't they just give us what we want? Give us what we want.
When I saw the thing, people were going to be saying, oh, we saw the thumbnail of this episode. We thought you guys were finally going to get your moment. It's not. It's not. He's back, but it's not the he's back that we want.
Yeah, it would definitely have been he's back. We're going to put that on our thumbnail anyway when we get the next episode, when Hondo does come back. Although, quite frankly, I mean, we're going to jump ahead a few seconds, but how awesome would it have been if Hondo had been in the World Between Worlds? Ahsoka just turns and there's Hondo Onaka. Hey!
Awesome, right? Oh, as Hera's flying out of the ship, who does she turn to? Because the New Republic won't help us, so who does she turn to?
Hondo Onaka, that's true. I will shout out Megs, who is a longtime viewer, supporter, friend. She actually mentioned that to me, and I thought that's a cool idea. It actually is because Dave Filoni likes to do those kind of callbacks, and that'd be kind of like a callback to the Clone Wars Onderon episodes where Anakin couldn't get the Republic help, so he reached out to Hondo. Maybe Hera can't get the Republic help, so she reaches out to Hondo. Either way, somebody reach out to Hondo, damn it, he can help you.
You shit the bed, Filoni. You shit the bed on this one.
You're done, Filoni. You're cut off until you bring back Hondo. No, we're kidding. We love Dave Filoni here. Honestly, I would give the keys to the kingdom to Dave Filoni if I could. All right, next segment we do here is a more simple one. Simple, but our lengthiest one, I believe. This is
Once a Rebel, Always a Rebel.
Actually, line from this episode now. This is Once a Rebel, Always a Rebel, where we give you a little bit of a breakdown as to what happened this week. Not going too in depth because we want to save that for more of our the categories as we go on. But let's go through this. We start off, obviously, right at the end of last episode. Baylan was sending out the troops to the fallen Jedi there, Ahsoka and Sabine, as the general can call Sabine a Jedi or not. She's a Padawan.
So, she's a Jedi Padawan, so yeah.
Yeah. And Huang, who are crash landed down in the forest somewhere, while Huang is working on trying to get the ship back together. Ahsoka and Sabine have the very intriguing and, I'm not going to lie, was obviously foreshadowing speech conversation with each other. Mainly the most important part about that is the fact that they are going to try to stop Baylan and company from getting, and Morgan from getting to the other galaxy where Thrawn is. And Ahsoka wants to make clear that that is the most important part of the mission. And she knows quite well that Sabine is not going to be happy about it. But Ahsoka believes that if push comes to shove and there's no other option, which there very well might be, then they're going to have to destroy the map, which also, of course, means destroying any way of getting Ezra back. It kind of amazed me. I'll say this right away. We'll tension on this. Ahsoka has grown as a character so much, and I still, there are some people out there who claim they don't love Ahsoka's acting because she's not the same as she was. I mean, I still push back and say, well, it's different because she's not a spunky kid anymore. She's not a teen. She's not a young adult. She's a Jedi woman pushing her 50s at this point. She's a lot more mature. She would make the more mature decisions. When she was a young teenager, she would be on Sabine's side. Now, as the older Jedi who's been through some shit, she understands that sometimes some things have to be done for the greater good. Ahsoka's seen what happens when they don't sometimes. So it makes sense to me that Ahsoka is this way. And it makes sense to me that Sabine is not. Even if she does say, oh, yeah, I'll be good, basically. It's like you can tell her, like, yeah, bullshit, you're going to be good. But it's a nice setup. Don't you think?
Yeah, it plays into the character of both and the kind of the clashing of heads, the clashing of personalities between the two. You have Ahsoka, who is always expecting the worst, right, and Sabine, who is always looking for the best.
Right.
Sabine wants the best possible outcome in every circumstance, but because of Ahsoka's past and her history, she's always been, she was essentially a child soldier. She's always like expecting the worst, preparing for the worst case scenario, whereas Sabine is a lot more like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna win at all costs, we're gonna succeed, we're gonna get Ezra. And it's just like, look, you may not.
Yeah, this is a twofold mission, and having Thrawn come back is where that'll be betraying what Ezra wanted, because Ezra took him away for that very reason. So to let him come back just to get Ezra back, it kind of defeats what it's kind of like, what Yoda and Han said to Luke at that point. You're betraying what they're fighting for. When you talk about Han and Leia, you betray everything that they're fighting for. Sometimes it doesn't matter, and you do it anyway. That's what Luke did, and that's basically what Sabine's going to end up doing, as we eventually find out. But we will get there. Next bit of the show dealt with Huang going outside of the ship, and he's starting to try to make things work. He's trying to fix things up, cannibalizing other parts that are not necessary to fix their transmitter, amongst other things. And this is when the HKs show up, and man, Huang can throw some hands.
Yeah, he went full Mike Tyson. He was going body, body, head, body, body, head.
Little knee
Yeah.
action at once in a while. I think at one point he got a knee in there and everything else. He was
Spinning back elbow as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, for 25,000-year-old droid with 75% original parts, he can still handle his own against an assassin droid, for Christ's sake. So, hey,
I think after that he's probably down to 70%.
Probably at this point. Definitely got chipped away. A little bit. But I was actually surprised and impressed. But I guess in some ways, it's funny. During the fight, I'm thinking, wow, he's fighting. And I then back, yeah, but he's sparred with Jedi for like the past 25,000 years.
25,000 years, yeah.
So yeah, he might have a few tricks up his sleeve. Of course, they do get Ahsoka and Sabine figure out what's going on when the power gets shorted out completely, and they join the fray. And that's when I loved this action sequence. I mean, we talk about later on, I'm going to talk about some of our favorite action sequences at the moment, but having them come out of the ship and taking care of things, there's a lot of stuff going on. I have to go back and watch that action sequence specifically. A lot of forward movement, a lot of Sabine being Mandalorian, Ahsoka being Jedi. It's a great bit of action right away. Your thoughts on the action there?
Yeah, it was really. I loved that they played to each other's strength. I thought there was a really sweet moment where Sabine uses her gauntlet, wraps it around the guy's neck, pulls him in, and then Ahsoka decapitates him on the way in. I was like, oh. And just a quick word about the action in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Super gnarly.
Yeah. All of it was super gnarly.
This wasn't just like pew pew, like some of the moments were graphic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was loving this at this point. So they take care of business, and of course, one of the better parts of the episode for me was when Ahsoka and Sabine are going to go off to find the map in Balin, and Huang tells them, "Stay together. You're always better together." Loving that Huang's doing this still. Like I said in the first one, he's been my MVP for a couple episodes. He is more than just comic relief. He's more than just the droid. He's the one that is kind of pushing Ahsoka and Sabine where they need to go. And he knows they're having difficulties with each other, but he knows they're better off together. So he can't be there with them, but he's going to remind them before they go that that's what they should do. And man, maybe they should have listened. Maybe they should have listened, and things would have been different at the end of the episode, potentially. Listen to the droid, people. Never underestimate the droid. So that was kind of a cool thing. I like that. We go back. The next thing we get to say at that point after the battle is we get to see, I believe this is where we get to see Hera in charge on the New Republic. By the way, that shot, I had something I want to bring up. When Hera, that we shift over to the New Republic ships, the fleet, right before we get in there. That fleet, I really thought I was looking at a screenshot of Return of the Jedi. It just felt like it was like right out of Return of the Jedi. Like I really was like, oh my god, is that like, oh that's new, but it still felt like home. No way. This whole episode felt like
home one.
Home one. Yeah, it's like, but I'm shit like that. Good call. But this whole episode felt like Star Wars in a way that like I don't even know. Like everything's felt like Star Wars, but this has been the most Star Warsian Disney Plus episode for me. It just felt like Star Wars. And that's not trying to knock any of the other ones because they've all felt like Star Wars to a degree here and there, but this one was extra special Star Wars sauce for me. But we go in to see Hera, who of course is going to be her way, and she's like, "Screw you! I'm going off. I'm meeting my friends," even though she's not supposed to be. So Hera's leaving with little Jason, which give me a little bit of a weird vibe. And Chopper, of course. Chopper always goes with her. But that's the funny thing, too, is like, wow, she's bringing Jason on this mission. But I think she tries and shakes Jason everywhere, too, like Chopper. And I feel like they always go together. Jason he's Kanan's son, so he has some issues there, possibly. But it's awesome. We get the return. The real reason, as Jerry actually told me earlier on, the real reason I put he's back on the thumbnail is because we get to see the return of Carson Teva, of course. Carson Teva in the X-Wing amongst the crew.
So sick.
I was loving seeing him. I love him so much. Like he is the greatest part of the New Republic. He represents the best of the New Republic, which is something we need. He's outside of our normal hero base. He's not one of our leads. But you can't have just your leads be the good guys and then the New Republic be the bad guys, so to speak, or antagonists in a way. It's good to have these other people who are on your side. Vic Hawkins is the other one who's kind of that way, but Carson has this magnetic personality that I can't get over. But I do have one negative here I want to bring up, and it's something that could be fixed in the future potentially, but I feel like we had a missed opportunity.
Zeb.
We had Zeb with Carson on the ground. Like, why would Zeb be a part of this flight? Why part of the Phoenix Squadron going out? If anyone's going to go, yeah, Hera, I want to come with you and help get Hera and Sabine and possibly get Ezra, it's going to be Zeb. And we've already established he's a pilot down there. So that if we hadn't seen him in Mandalorian, I'd be like, okay, we just don't know what he's doing. Maybe he's out still on with Callus somewhere. Maybe he's still doing something else. But we've seen him in the X-Wing. So even if they had said something like they didn't want Zeb in the show for whatever reason, if they didn't had some reason why they didn't want to do the CGI for Zeb over the course of the whole,
that was going to be my thing. I think that there's some shots in this episode where I'm like, holy shit, the CGI in that must have cost a pretty penny.
Right, exactly. So I kind of think, but even if they did that, you could have had a line like saying Zeb wanted to be here, but, or you know what I mean, like throwaway line or something like that, where Zeb is, or Zeb couldn't meet us there, or some Zeb will meet us later, or something. It just seemed like a little bit of a little bit of a missed opportunity. Not the end of the world, but a little bit of it took me out just a second. But it's good to see them going. It's good to see the crew going at this point. Carson is the new. I almost feel like Carson's going to become an honorary Rebels crew member by the end of this, and I'm here for it.
I think it's time. Paul Sung-Young Lee is an awesome member of the fandom. He's one of us. He goes to conventions both as a guest and just like on his own, just to hang out. If they came out and they said, "Oh yeah, we're doing the Rangers of the New Republic," and Carson Tavern is the main character, cool, I'm in.
I really think that'd be the best case. I know we obviously know the behind the scenes stuff with Rangers of the Republic was built for initially, and then of course everything happened and it got sidelined. I think they could easily put Carson in there, and it could be a lot of fun. But the whole crew, maybe that could be a Zeb show, Carson and Zeb together at that point. That'd be great. With Trapper Wolf, of course. And whoever director of the week they want to throw in there. That's what you do. Give a Star Wars director, you become an X-Wing pilot. That's what seems to happen.
I can't wait for George to show up in an X-Wing.
That would be awesome. You know, George Lucas as the old mentor X-Wing guy kind of thing. He comes in as he's an ex-pilot or something like that.
It's got to happen at some point, right? Do you do the Stan Lee thing?
Yeah, and it's just George every episode somewhere.
Yeah,
it's happening.
I mean, he showed up in a random documentary just walking into a building. So
it's true. It's true. I love that episode. I love that thing. All right, let's move on then. Of course, next we see Baylan and with Morgan Elsbeth talking about, of course, this is a little bit of I don't want to say wasted space. It's kind of like just a reminder, okay, this is what we're doing. We're getting the plans, we're getting together, we're getting this done. A little bit of a breather, just kind of remind us they're there kind of thing. Obviously, Baylan has sent out Shin and Merrick to join the HKs at this point while they finish up getting the hyperspace coordinates. But there's one reason why this isn't wasted space, and I believe this is why. I could be wrong here. But this really does some good job with Baylan Skull. Baylan Skull, I'm going to say this right now, like, I have this tendency to be hyperbolic. I get it. Like, I'll say, this is the best Star Wars I've ever seen. Oh my God, best Star Wars episode. This is the best Star Wars episode Disney Plus has ever. And I know better. I really, it's hard to rank if I really rank it. But I kind of say, without hyperbole, in these few episodes, Baylan Skull has become one of my favorite Star Wars antagonists of all time. Like, he right now is kind of second to only Vader and Palpatine right now. I love him so much with what he's doing. And part of that is because he is not the straight up villain that the other ones are. He is the calmest villain we've ever seen. He just is so confident in his abilities that everything else just doesn't matter. And like, I mean, at one point, I don't know, was this scene or the next scene, Morgan Elsbeth even says something like, I sense you seem afraid. There's like, I sense fear in you. He's like, nope, experience. Because he's been there. The way he delivers that, Ray Stevenson, rest in peace. I miss you so much already. Such an intimidating figure. He just has been there. He knows it. So it's not fear. It's just experience. I wish we could get years with Baylan Skull. Am I wrong? Am I being hyperbolic with this or not? Because I don't know. Maybe I am.
Let's move on.
Okay, that's fair. We'll move on for now. I guess I know what that means. But yeah, I love what Baylan does, and every time I see him, he just looks intimidating, looks good. But the next thing we get to, of course, is the big fight in the forest. We got Ahsoka and Sabine running through the trees, running through those beautifully red-leaved trees, and they run into Shin and Merrick. So we get our first big battle of the episode. If we had the minor skirmish before outside the ship, this is the big battle. We get Ahsoka going against Merrick and Shin getting her rematch against Sabine. And let's do it again. Phenomenal lightsaber fights, great movement, great choreography, and Dave Filoni basically saying "suck it" to all you Merrick theorists, basically.
Star who?
Right?
Sam who? Sam who?
Barris not no offie here. I don't know. I'm actually
Barris Offie on another world somewhere.
That's right. Barris Offie my show. This is a great moment for me as for Star Wars in general. I mean, I played into the theory. I obviously played into the theory because I thought it was a fun theory. Because that's what I do. I love playing into speculation. And I always like when I said that I bought into the Barris Offie theory more than anything else. I probably should have said overall that I didn't think it was going to be anybody because I really didn't think it was going to be anybody. I just love as a Star Wars fan having the speculation. And the Barris Offie one made the most sense out of all the speculation I'd heard so far. But the fact that he was nobody, just seems like possibly a resurrected Night Brother of some kind, as we find out, because when she did slice him, obviously when he does die, he had that puff of green smoke or whatever. I kind of like had this feeling like people are like, well, what does that mean? Like, so he was nothing is not important. A, no, he's not important. He's just a baddie that needs to get past. B, it actually could end up being important in some way because of how he died. We get to see this puff of smoke. Is that something that's going to come into the future when Morgan Elsbeth has to maybe resurrect somebody else to be a dark side user or something to that effect? Is it the how that's more important about Merrick than the who? That makes sense. I don't know. Just throwing it out there as a possible theory again, but either way, I love the fact that it was nobody, and I hope people don't get pissed off. The next, I predict people get pissed off about that because they're like, "Oh, my theory was good," and it's like, no, it wasn't. Or even if it was, it's not your story. Let them tell the story they want to tell, and you're predicting something that's happening is on you, not on them.
I have three friends that owe me $20 because that was just the eighth brother brought back to life. That's the eight brothers armor. It's just the eighth brother brought back to life after the ass whipping he got on Malachor.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly what I've been saying this entire time. However, I do think it was cool, and it shows how much of a history, literature, mythology buff that Filoni is. I think it's Macbeth. My Shakespeare's a little off. I think it's Macbeth, where there was like a knight that's controlled by a witch.
Yes.
So I thought, that was a nice little touch of Shakespeare.
I like that. That's nice. Okay, so beyond that, we also have the Sabine and Shin rematch, which was also very good. Very good.
I love this fight.
This is a fun fight. Again, kind of a little bit saying suck it to the haters again, like people who are overreacting about things. I think it's another bit of moment in there because they have their moments. And Sabine acts like a Mandalorian first. She does get her lightsaber. They have the lightsaber duel. My favorite moment, of course, when Sabine gets knocked to the ground and she does turn and throws her hand up at her. And that was like in the trailer. And I feel like that's where all the overreactions like, oh my God, Sabine's going to have the Force and she's going to start using the Force here. It's a little bit much. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, she had the Force. She touched shit and she like got a little hit. It's like, oh. Like you have no power. It don't make sense to me. It's everything we've heard about.
Do you think that was her using the Force? Do you think that was like a little Force? Nope.
I think she touched her like she had a little bit of Force, and she just like kind of like almost like I had a glove and slapped you with the glove. That's what it felt like to her.
I think it was her flinching, and then Sabine used the rocket and gave her 2 for flinching.
So you don't think she touched her at all? You think maybe she was just scared of her? Scared of the Force.
Listen to how Balin speaks to her later on when she's choking Sabine, and he's like, he's like, stop, like let her go. there's clearly a dynamic where he has trained her in a way to where she's now like flinching if someone goes to use the force on her. She's like, ah.
That could be. That could absolutely. I guess I only got to watch that once. I should rewatch it. I thought I heard something in the soundtrack, the rumbling, which usually indicates the force is being used. And so I thought she looked out there, and I thought like it was one of those things where like maybe it was a little bit of flinching, but that there was a little bit of like contact made. Like you heard like maybe it was like a stiff wind, if nothing else. But like it's a little bit of something to show she had some kind of force connection. But that was not going to do anything.
It was kind of a way, and this is something that gets drilled out of you very early on. When someone throws a punch at you, you instinctively want to turn your face away to like absorb some of the blow and like not take as much damage to your face.
Okay.
It's a natural reaction to flinch, and she
Right.
went to be like pushed her hand out like she was going to force push her, something that maybe Ahsoka had done or that her master had done to train her.
Right.
Because she is a little savage. The way she fights,
Oh, yeah.
And I was talking to Alden Diaz about this, and this will come up again later, is that there is something in Shin that reminds me of like what's Jet Li in God, what's the movie where he wears the dog collar?
Oh,
you know the one I mean. But the one
I
where
do.
where like Bob Hoskins takes off the
Bodily.
dog collar and he goes psycho.
Yep. God, you're killing me. The Schmodown guy. It's a former trivia writer. I can't believe I'm blank on his name. I'm blanking on his movie. It's Unleashed.
Unleashed,
Right?
that's it. I wanted to say Unbroken, but it's Unleashed.
No, Unleashed. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's a little bit of that with her. That like Balin's got the collar on, and then when he takes it off, it's like
That's fair.
she goes.
That's fair. I mean, I think honestly either way works for me anyway. If she had no force touch at all, then that's fine. I almost like that she does have a little bit of connection because we know that she does have a little bit of, like, she's been training for a long time. In fact, it seems like she's been training for a long time, like a couple of years. In fact, after so many years, she might be able to like just force a little bit of wind. Like that would knock over a child, but she's trying to desperately. And she's kind of like, oh, she's like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. Either way works for me. But either way, it's a cool moment because then she does get the two flinching because like she comes in and then becomes a Mandalorian because that's how she's going to fight. That's how she's going to win. That's what Kanan taught her. Yeah, you're a Mandalorian. I'll teach you enough to kind of hold your own in these things. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to use everything in your arsenal to beat someone who's a Force user. And that's what she does. She still, I think overall, she kind of lost she still loses the rematch to a degree because at that point, Shin just wanted to, like, this is not even worth my time. I got to go see what's going on with Baylan and Ahsoka at this point. Going back to that now, Ahsoka makes her way to Baylan while the Morgan has gone back to the ship. And what a great setup between the two of them. Like Baylan just stalking her like not even stalking because it's almost like he doesn't care about her. Like it's like he's like Darth Maul.
Where he just unclips his cape and just like lets it drop. I was like, yep. If we got a bingo card for if like cape drop is on your bingo card, there it is.
But it's funny about it to me is the way he does it is because like it's not about even getting ready to fight. It's almost like this. All right, let's do it. It's gonna happen.
It's like I didn't want to do this, but you're gonna make me.
The differences between like someone like a Darth Maul, who I know you love and I love too, and Baylan, Darth Maul is I'm going to stalk you. I'm going to go back and forth. I'm a caged beast. I'm going to unraid. And he's not. He's just kind of like, all right, big time Force user coming. It's inevitable. Let's get this over with. I'm going to beat you because that's what I do. I am in complete control here. I mean, she even tries to needle him. I love that. He like kind of goes, Anakin has talked a lot about you. She's like trying to talk smack back to him. Like, well, she never mentioned you. Everyone knew Anakin Skywalker. No one, I mean, whatever. It's like he doesn't bother. You're not going to get into this guy's head. You're not going to push his buttons to make him mad and make mistakes. That's what makes him such a great villain to me. He's so cold and calculating, and like that's one of the tricks of the good guy's arsenal. Usually, the good guy got to get up. Like even Luke and Vader. Luke gets Vader to swing at him sometimes. Luke makes Vader angry at him, and vice versa. Vader makes Luke angry at him. And this way, Baylan just isn't going to be moved. You gonna do something? All right, I'll cover it. Yep, okay. I got this. But then they have this great prequel like choreographed fight sequence, which was gorgeous to me. You're the fight man. I'll let you talk more about it first, but like I loved it.
Yeah. It was very, very Kurosawa, very samurai. It wasn't like, and this is not a knock on the sequel or the prequels, but like that was the sequel and the prequel trilogies were very much like pew pew, more. This was much more like Kurosawa, crafted. You even had the moment with Ahsoka and Marek where she's holding the blade up like that, and he's like, it's kind of like my Shaolin style versus your Shaolin style, very old school martial arts movie, like my style versus your style, which style comes out on top. And you have the big, like his hilt on his saber is massive. So he's like swinging it around like a big, almost kind of like an old school medieval knight. With a big old broadsword. I don't know why Ahsoka didn't just take out the second blade and just be like, all right, cool. I'm just going to, because you're not going to match him power for power. He's bigger. He's stronger. Like he's a bigger specimen. So take out the second blade and like
do what you do.
Yeah, do what you do. Yeah. And it was also I thought there was the moment where he throws the rock at her. It was kind of just such a visceral, like grabs it and just throws it. And I was just like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And the way she turned with it as she sliced it up too. So good. The battle sequence was just phenomenal. She was moving fast. It was definitely power versus speed. I agree with you, though. She should have taken her second lightsaber out because that's her battle. Baylan, though, had some speed to her as well. But the fight sequence itself is probably my favorite in the Disney Plus era. I got to be honest with you. By far. And I like to I'm not a sequel trilogy hater, and those sequel lightsaber fights were great and count and everything else. But this one, for some reason, just I think it comes down to Baylan again. I really do. I'm gonna keep coming back to that. I'm sorry if I keep saying that, but it's the truth. I can't get over how much I love this character. That might be a spoiler for one of our segments at this point. But so we have the moment where Shin arrives, and what a great moment when Shin arrives, because all of a sudden you see Ahsoka.
And Ahsoka's grabbed the map at this point as well. She's like grabbed it and it's like burning her hand.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, that came first.
Like she can't hold it. And I've seen a lot of people be like, "Why did the map burn her hand?" There's Night Sister fire right there, literally right there in shot.
Right. It's been fired up the whole time. That's true. That's what it was. Night Sister. You interrupted a Night Sister ritual or magic and stuff. That's going to get you. That's what happens all the time. When Night Sister magic is interrupted, how that can affect you. But I was kind of surprised at that too. But she gets hurt, obviously. But my favorite part though is when Shin shows up. You get this moment where Ahsoka looks at her and is like, she knows what that means. In her head, she's like, "Fuck, Sabine, she's dead." My God, and it was so like palatable. Rosario Dawson did her best work in this episode by far. Every little bit of it was just spot on, and it's partially because we actually got a time in all of her times Ahsoka, and this goes back to her first appearance in The Mandalorian, appearance in the Book of Boba Fett, and most of the first couple episodes here. It hasn't been very story-wise action. It's been all kind of like slow burn kind of story, like exposition, conversation. She hasn't had those action sequences that would be passionate action sequences. Like her initial fight against Morgan Elsbeth was just kind of like more of a concentration. I got to find out where Thrawn is. I'm going to intimidate you. She had her action beats against Merrick earlier. But this was like a moment where she could be the emotional Ahsoka we all know and love. And Rosario, I think, hit it out of the park with this part. And so I thought her look on her face was just brilliant.
She touched the dark side for sure. There's no two ways about it. She touched the dark side in this moment. And I want to shout out whoever. I wonder, because Brendan Wayne was one of the pilots. I wonder if he was on set for this as kind of like a stunt supervisor. Whoever did, I forget the actress who plays Shin's name. Whoever is doing her stunts took a hell of a whack.
Oh yeah, she did.
That rock.
Yes, she did. Yeah, that was one of my favorite moments because Sophie got very pissed and throws her up against that rock. Concussions for sure at that point. I also got to say, I love Shin and her character right now, the way she's going. She's obviously a little bit of that caged animal that Maul was to a degree. She's got a little bit of that temper in her, that fire in her, but she's also got this like moments of like try to figure everything out. When she gets there, she's like, I'm not sure what to do here. Balin and Ahsoka are fighting. What should I do here? But she then makes her decision and goes for it, even when it's wrong, according to Balin, because he starts choking people and everything else. But she gets knocked the F out, as we say. And then who shows up? But Sabine shows up. Of course, that makes Ahsoka very happy briefly. And we're going to get to the moment where, quite frankly, this is what this whole thing was leading up to. It was teased in the beginning of the episode. She has the map now, which has now been out of the fire, so it's not going to be fire anymore. And it comes down to Ahsoka's got Balin. She's going to have to make the decision to destroy the map, and she can't quite do it. So she gets to the point where she does what she thinks is right at this point. She holds the map hostage so that Ahsoka can get away, because that's what she does. And then we get the Balin versus Ahsoka, where Balin powerfully drives Ahsoka off the cliff.
Yeah.
And then Sabine is upset, and from that moment on, great work by Sabine. I forget her name as well.
Natasha Lubadiza.
Natasha. I'm very bad with actor names. Wonderful work, because she could have gone over the top and been over the top the whole time. She had the explanation, but the rest of it, she just became this defeated person trying to figure out what to do. Here we have Balin, who basically just, in Sabine's eyes, kicked Ahsoka's ass. And as Sabine is someone who's seen Ahsoka defeat so many people easily, fly through Inquisitors. She's seen Ahsoka do stuff like this. We have Balin, who kicked her ass. We know Shin's still back there. Have the map. What do you do? There's been some people say, well, why didn't she do it? She could have just destroyed it. She couldn't have. She had no choice but to do what she does, which is to give the map back to Balin and join them. Now, she's not joining them to join them. It's not like she's becoming a dark side. She's still cuffed at the end. And that's what I don't understand. I think she made the best decision possible. Here she has the map in her hand. She doesn't have Ahsoka anymore. She thinks Ahsoka's dead at this point, or potentially dead. She can either destroy the map and get killed, doing nothing, or I can give them the map. I can go get Ezra, and Ezra and I together can defeat these people and stop Thrawn from coming back. She made the best decision possible that she could in her mind, because she didn't have any other options. Destroying it wasn't an option at that point, because then she'd end up dead anyway and wouldn't have done anything. She could, and they would have found a way to get. I think they probably still would have found a way. She figures it's best to get Ezra back on her side. They need Ahsoka. They need Ezra. So I loved how she did that. I love the decision she made, slow burn as it was, and she doesn't exactly. It's not like she's 100% sure about it. It's not like she's like, all right, here we go. Because
it's a gamble. It's a hell of a gamble.
Even after she gives it, she's like, fuck, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? And here's another part of this that I have to talk about real quick. It's a Balin thing. Balin, I almost feel like Balin uses the Force here to a degree. Kind of like Obi-Wan does a Force mind trick. Sabine's too smart for that. I think Balin is using that kind of Force encourage. He's saying all the words that Sabine needs to hear. Maybe putting a little bit of twins of the Force on to kind of shove it on home a little bit. I kind of feel like that's maybe what Balin does. He's like he's like the negotiator kind, like Obi-Wan was, but a darker negotiator. He's going to tell you what you need to hear, tell you what you want to hear. Because he says, I'm not going to kill you. You can go find your friends still. I'm going to do all, and just puts enough of that seduction of what the dark side would do, gives you what you want. So of course Sabine's going to give in at that point. I don't fault her at all. It makes all the sense in the world to me.
Yeah, it's been clear to me since the jump that he has an ulterior motive to Morgan. Morgan has an ulterior motive to him. I think at first I thought he was kind of the clueless, the heavy that was he has an ulterior motive, but I feel like he was just the heavy. But now it's both him and Morgan are kind of playing a bit of a long con, and it's just which one can stick it out.
We are both on the same side for now. We're working together until
enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of a deal.
Kind of, absolutely. Next part we get Hera arriving with the couple X-Wings. They get their way out to Fulcrum. Fulcrum keeps them up to date with what's going on. Hera and a crew attack, or kind of get ready to attack, when they jump to light speed in a kind of a hold-on maneuver. But with the circular ship, it kind of goes around them, which is kind of cool, which I think is the big ship that goes through them.
That shot of it coming out of the Eye of Sion, coming out of the clouds,
Right.
that was the shot that I was talking about, where I was like, oh, that
Right.
was, yeah,
Fucking awesome. When it shoots the hyperspace, it knocks some of the X-Wings into each other, explode. Hera and Carter are knocked off course. They're all kind of freaky at this point. And we turn to Jason, who gets to say at least part of the most famous line in Star Wars. I've got a bad feeling. Not about this, but he's got a bad feeling. Which of course is always a nice throwback, because that he's got that Force sensitivity in his blood for sure.
It is now confirmed that Kanan is the dad.
Yeah, if there was ever a doubt. If there was ever a doubt before.
There's some people out there that are doubting. There's some people out there that are doubting.
Okay, well, we got saying, let's see. Kanan Jarrus, you are the father.
All right, Dr. Phil.
Dr. Paul, but okay. No, but anyway, so we get to that. Obviously, we don't know what's going on. Although I will say on that, before we talk about the last bit, I kind of wonder. Now, Chopper did throw that homing beacon onto the ship that was heading to Cetos here. Now, where it landed, I couldn't quite remember. I should go back and watch the episode. Did that ship, was it carrying that big ass hyperdrive?
It
was. Or was it inside? So
it
did
was
that
carrying it because they flew and they went on top of it and he threw it down.
So is that homing device still on the big hyperdrive?
That's the thing. It was on the ship carrying the big hyperdrive. It wasn't.
What I'm saying was the hyperdrive, when they carried the hyperdrive, was it carried on the outside of the ship? I wasn't quite sure of that. Like, it was kind of just a big ass hyperdrive. I don't know if they put it in the ship or if they were kind of like carrying it on the outside so they could drop it in. And if Chopper actually threw it on there and actually went to the hyperdrive itself that got dropped onto that ship, the possibility that that's how they're going to make their way to the other side of the galaxy after things are said and done, at least towards the end. I'll come back to this theory after we talk about the last episode, because the last part of the episode I have talk about how Ahsoka is going to get there. But that's something different. That's something different, though. Just a thought to kind of hang on to. I don't know. I'm not saying for sure. I know Jerry's down there. I see Jerry's hanging out down there. And he's going, "You idiot! You're such an idiot."
Stupid.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm used to Jerry calling me an idiot. I'm used to it. It's all good. I take it from the stories. I take it that he's a Green Bay Packers fan, so I totally understand.
That means nothing to me.
All right, well, let's go on to the end of the episode. We will get Jerry's opinion on everything at the end of this episode. Next big thing, of course, after that is probably the thing that everybody's talking about, what the spoilers were. We go back down to Cetos. We get the top overview shot of the ruins, or the Night Sister place where they had the map. We go down over the ocean, and what a great editing job this was. We kind of go from that, it pans over to the ocean, and the more we pan over this ocean, it's kind of hitting waves into the rocks. You start seeing not quite waves, but the world between world waves, and it kind of like just floats over, and then we see Ahsoka laying there. We're like, what's going on? Okay. And I see it happening, and I see this little blue ripple around her. I'm like, is she where I think she is? I didn't want to say it too much. My wife was like, world between worlds. It's like, all right, Kim. Kim got very excited about it. I'm like, I think you're right. I think you're right. And then, of course, sure enough, she's starting to get more wakes up. You get that more blue around her. She sits up, and sure enough, she's on that bridge. She's on one of those walkways of the world between worlds.
I thought it was going to be like, in The Last Jedi, where she like falls into the pit, where Ray falls into the pit. I thought it was going to be something like that. It absolutely makes sense that Cetos has a portal to the world between worlds on it.
Well, that's a question we're going to ask, because I think that maybe it's not necessarily a portal on Cetos. It's a portal anywhere, because the world between worlds seems to have portals wherever it wants to have portals, depending on who's in the world between worlds. We're going to get there in a second. So she wakes up. She stands up looking confused. And here's my favorite bit of acting from Rosario Dawson right here. We hear the line, we just hear, "Hey, Snaps." And the crowd went wild at that point, pretty much. But the look on Rosario Dawson's face when she heard that was it was like Ahsoka's character went down to being Snip's age again. It was just like look of awe, confusion, hope, everything all mixed into one. Like, and then so she just starts like going, "No, I'm hearing something." And here's then he continues, and he says the line, which is I thought was interesting, and I'm still kind of trying to completely decipher it. I didn't expect to see you so soon. Okay, so we have a lot to talk about here. But let's go through the rest of it, then we'll go talk about what this all means. We'll break it down like bit by bit. She turns, and there he is, Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen, back and again, de-aged Hayden Christensen, no scar, no anything, standing in front of Ahsoka.
Revenge of the Sith robes.
Doesn't appear to be Force sensitive, or the Force ghost rather, because it's not the blue ghost image or whatever. But that's where we end. With, after the hopeful Anakin smile, it all of a sudden Kevin Kiner decides to play a little trick on us, and we get a little bit of the Vader theme. I don't know what the fuck's going on. There's so many options here that we can go to. There's so many different choices that can happen here.
I have a theory.
Okay, we all have theories, but let's break this down. And before you give me your full theory, I want to take this bit by bit. First question. How did she get into the portal? Is there a portal on Cetos, like you said? Or did Anakin pull her in when she was falling down?
I don't think he would pull her in because then he that kind of takes away the line of I didn't expect to see you so soon.
Not really, because he could say that like he pulled her in and he didn't expect to have to save her. He had to pull her in, but he's like, I didn't expect to have you here this soon, basically.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm kind of more because Cetos is a very mystical planet. It was home to this big whatever this big benevolent species was that was there a millennia ago.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a very kind of like Octo, but like the dark side Octo, like the kind of the flip side of it. So I feel like it is a kind of Vergence planet that there is a way down there.
No, I agree to a point, but if you remember correctly, Ezra had to open the door to the portal. She didn't have time to open any door. That's what I think. I do think Anakin pulled her in. So I don't think you fall into this portal. I think the door has to be opened and pulled in. So either way, that's a thought. 2, and here's my biggest question. Anakin. Is it a younger Anakin? Is this an Anakin that's time displaced? Is this actually a Force Ghost Anakin? And I know that sounds like a stupid thing, but I'm thinking to myself, he's the chosen one, and here we are in this world between worlds. Is the world between worlds like so enriched with the Force and Anakin is the chosen one? Maybe here he can actually manifest more fully than he could anywhere else, potentially. Like this Force, maybe this is a way to dictate this is how strong the Force is here. And combine that with being the chosen one, he can actually be physical. That would actually explain the no scar, despite him being in the Revenge of the Sith robes. This is his projection of what he wants to look like, but he's made physical here. I don't know. What are your thoughts on who Anakin is at this point? Like, what Anakin is this?
I agree with that because this has been my long-standing theory for a few years now. That if there is one person that could push the boundaries of manifesting themselves through the living Force from the beyond, is bound to be Anakin. It's bound to be the chosen one. It's the biggest. Yeah, duh. Of course he could do that. He's the chosen one. So yeah, I fully agree with that, and I actually said that in the Thank the Maker Discord last night, and a couple of people called me crazy for it. But you know what? I'm rolling with it. I've rolled with that theory for like 3 years now. So I'm rolling with it. As for the kind of music, I feel the reason he put that in there. What was the last memory that Ahsoka has of Anakin?
That's Vader. Apprentice. Right.
Vader.
Right.
Vader. So she's probably like, oh my God, Anakin, and then then kind of being the sneaky devil that he is, just kind of plays the Vader theme to make you think, hold on now, this might not be what you think it is.
Right. Okay. I see that's it's absolutely a possibility. I actually don't even have a theory about the Vader thing yet, quite frankly, although it might cue into the other theory I thought of. Now, this is by far to me less likely, probably the least likely idea, but I have a consideration. What if, given how, if there's a theory out there that Ahsoka died, that's one of the theories, that she died in the fall and she was pulled into the world between worlds potentially. I don't know about that, but what would save her would be the Mirai, right? It would be Mirai, the daughter's life force, et cetera, et cetera. What's opposite of the daughter? The son. Is the son pretending to be Anakin right now? But it's not really Anakin. It's the son.
We're going to get Sam Witwer one way or another, baby.
Remember, Sam Witwer is involved in Ahsoka. Now, I always said, yeah, he does all these other voices and everything else. What if Sam Witwer's playing the son? And it's revealed later on that this is not really Anakin at all. Is that cheap play? Is it cheap ploy? Maybe people say that, but maybe it paves the way for the real Anakin to get involved in actual Force Ghost later on, potentially. I don't know. Just throwing it out there's potential. Maybe that's the dark side voice. The Vader theme is kind of like this isn't real. Here's the precursor of something bad's about to happen.
Or
I thought,
what if somehow Palpatine returns before somehow Palpatine returns and he finds Ahsoka in the world between worlds?
Could be.
Please don't, Dave. I'm gonna ask you for one, Dave. I've never asked you for anything. No Palpatine. I do like that son. I do like that son theory. I do like him pretending to be.
I don't think it's happening, but it's something I haven't seen thrown out there yet. I think that's everybody wants it to be Anakin for sure because they want Anakin back, and I do too to a degree. But it seems to me it feels a very Filoni-esque, potentially. Just throwing it out there. We'll see what happens. What else is going on? But so I guess that would do it for the recap. We'll talk about our future things next. Let's go through the rest of our categories. Then we'll bring Jeremiah on and get his take on the episode and some of his answers to these questions, and then we'll wrap it up. So let's go on to our next category here. Our next category is,
as your master, it's my responsibility to prepare you.
Master of the week, basically our favorite character of the week. Matty, I'll let you start off here. I think yours is the same as mine, but I'll give it a shot. Go ahead.
It is Marok.
Oh, we are wrong. I was wrong. Go ahead. Tell me
why.
Yeah,
it's not. It's Balin. I just want to say it's Marok because I'm going to give Marok MVP solely because he the whole Filoni being like, your Marok theories were fucking stupid.
That is true. Maybe having Dave Filoni the character of the week.
I will never ever give that man character of the week for what he did.
He didn't do it.
It's Balin for sure.
Okay, good. Go ahead. It is Balin.
I know he didn't do it, but there's enough straight cis white men on the internet yelling at women, so I'm gonna blame Filoni.
You're letting Jennifer Corbett off the hook for Bad Batch. It's not right. Blame who did it. Dave had nothing to do with it.
There's enough straight white men yelling at women on the internet. I am not going to join that crew. Anyway, it is Balin.
Okay.
Solely because, and this is just going to add to the. I grew up watching this man on my TV, on daytime television, on shows like The Bill, Holby City. I saw him. He was part of my childhood growing up on daytime television. This is the best I've ever. It's like he rose to the occasion of the character that he's portraying. I didn't know Ray Stevenson had this performance in him. I have seen him in a lot of things over my life. I did not know he had this acting ability in him.
So good. So subtle. That's the thing too. It's a subtle performance. We expect our villains in Star Wars, which is a fantasy. It's a space fantasy. It's a space opera. It's almost cartoonish in a way at times. There's a lot of histrionic. We expect our villains to be this mustache twirling, scene chewing, Palpatine like, do it, unlimited power. Like that's what we expect out of our Star Wars villains. We expect Darth Maul raging with the lightsaber. We expect angry Darth Vader, intimidating Darth Vader, like throwing men around, choking them. That's what we expect. We don't expect our villains to be just so calm at peace.
We get flashes of it, like when he's like right up close to Ahsoka, and he's just like,
only when we need to.
When it's like, this is your way, death or destruction.
Right.
And he's like saying it through gritted teeth. He's just like, look, I don't want to fight you.
Right.
But I know this is your way. And if it comes down to it, I'm going to dog walk you.
He's like the only villain we really know that doesn't want the battle, but he can handle himself and he'll take care of the battle when it comes to him. That's what's great about him. Such great line delivery. He doesn't even have like, none. He has these long soliloquies, none of these long diatribes. He speaks in like one word. And he says so much in that one word. It's phenomenal to me. I can't wait to see the rest of it. I'm glad they're living tribute to him. It's kind of funny. My son and I talked about it. Again, rest in peace, Ray. And I couldn't help but speculate ahead as to what's going on with Ray Stevenson, about Balin rather. At the end of that series, I would have hoped before that he lived through the series and we could get to see him over and over again, all the way through. I would love to see him come back all these other ways. Since he passed, I almost want to see him die because I wanted to have this be let this be the final thing and let the not be open-ended about it in a way. Well, what a tragic loss. I mean, and I'm not, obviously it's a far more tragic loss to his family and even to his career, let alone just one little Star Wars show. But wow, what a way to go out on. I'm glad. We saw him in Celebration, how excited and how happy he was to be a part of it. So I'm glad he got his opportunity to do so, because he took that opportunity and he ran with it. I can't wait to see what the next couple episodes bring. The rest of the second half of the season brings for him, because we're gonna get some more great stuff out of him. Expect.
Are you doing the mid-season thing in the cinema that they announced today?
They did announce that. There's nothing near me, unfortunately. I can't believe it. I heard that. Like, that would have been so exciting to see episode 5 on the big screen. I would kill for that.
The Filoni episode too.
I know, the Filoni episode. It was going to happen.
Something going to happen.
All right. Let's move on to our next episode, our next category, rather. Next category here.
I am no Jedi.
I am no Jedi, one of Ahsoka's famous lines, but we use that to determine which is our favorite line of dialogue. I said it before, I'll say it again. I had 2 in mind. Initially was going to go with Hey Snips, because it was just so emotional hearing that line. But I'm going to give it to Balin again. It was that one word I mentioned earlier, his one word response. Experience. Sums up his character in so many ways. Like fear, no. Experience. I don't know how you could deliver one word line more effectively than that. God, it's so good. It's so good.
And it's also a callback, because what outranks everything?
Experience outranks everything. Speaking of that, where's Rex? Where is Rex at this point? But anyway, go ahead.
For me, it's Hu Yang. Hu Yang asking them to stay together.
Beautiful line. I love that line.
Because as soon as the two of them part ways, you're kind of like, well, that's that. Something's gonna happen. It's the old Obi-Wan and Anakin fighting Dooku in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
It's just like, we'll take them together. No, I'm taking him now.
Always listen to the robot. Always listen to the droid.
Listen to the droid. Especially if the droid is also the doctor.
Yes, the doctor, the doctor droid. That's what he's.
Who's older, the doctor or Hu Yang?
The droid, Hu Yang is. Doctor is old, only a couple of thousand years old at this point. I think he's not quite 2,000 or maybe around. There's a lot of timey-wimey stuff going on with Doctor Who as far as his exact age goes, but I know it's not near 25,000 at this point yet. So we're going to go with Hu Yang. All right, let's go on to our next bit.
There's always a bit of truth in legends.
Explore more lore. That's what I like to call this one now. Explore more lore. What in this episode makes us want to go a little further into this, whether it be a comic book, whether it be another standalone movie, another episode, maybe later on in the series even. I'll start this one off for me. I want to know Balin's history. I want to see Balin in the Clone Wars. I want to see who Balin's master was, if he is Plo Koon like I kind of think it is. I want to see his interaction with Anakin. I want to see what happened with him. I know we've had plenty of Fallen Jedi storylines and everything else, but this one is one of the ones I want to see because it seems like he didn't fall all the way. He didn't do the Dooku where he went all the way down. He kind of like skipped a little down a little further and did his own thing. Still feels he's got this code of honor about him. Still got this some kind of deep-seated code that he's holding to. Doesn't mean he's not going to kill a bitch. He'll kill a bitch if he needs to. If the New Republic guy gets in his way, gets away with his mission, he'll kill him. He'll take care of him. He's not Jedi anymore. But overall,
wait, you think Balin is the fallen Jedi?
I think Balin might be the fallen Jedi.
I thought it was Ahsoka because she fell off a cliff.
Literally fell.
Yeah.
Well, it could have been Anakin right at the end. Could have been Anakin at the end. He's there, fallen Jedi at that point. Or Sabine who fell on the ground. It could be all of them. They all are fallen Jedi. It's the whole thing. It's fallen Jedi. But I want to see more from Balin. I do want to see his history. I want to see like a whole backstory. Give me Balin from like young Balin all the way to where he is now, whether it's animated or whether it's like books. I want all the Balin all the time. I have not been more interested in characters since Hondo and Akka. So, how about you? What about you? What's your explore more lore?
I want to know more because they mentioned the henge, and I have a funny feeling that might be the doorway to the world between worlds.
Okay.
Solely because I know Filoni is like very into his history, his mythology.
Mm-hmm.
What if he's also a conspiracy theorist nut? Because there is the conspiracy theory that that Stonehenge is a gateway to the underworld.
Right.
I'm just saying.
That's an interesting choice. That's an interesting point. I could see that happening. That'd be a kind of cool thing to go into a little more. That'd definitely be a comic book thing. I think I want to see that in a comic book. Then let's do it. Let's do it. The history of Cetos and there. Actually, that's a good idea. Cool. All right, let's get to our next bit.
You got a lot of carbon scoring here. Looks like you boys have seen a lot of action.
Seen a lot of action. We get to get this is Maddie's favorite category, so I always let Maddie lead off because if anybody knows action around here, it's definitely Maddie Gunner. Your favorite action sequences of the episode.
It's the two for flinching. It's the two for flinching. I thought it was really cool how you have it's very much a callback to when Fen Rao was kind of in Sabine's ear when Kanan was teaching her. And he gave Sabine the gauntlets. It was like, look, we may not have the Force, but we know how to fight Jedi. Use this. And it was like she pushed, she flinched, and she was just like, aha, gotcha. And just shot. And literally, it was 2 rockets. He gave it 2 for flinching.
Right. Good call. Good call. I like that. I wrote down 2 because I always write down 2 of these. So I know you're going to pick one, and you always probably pick one I like. So I always have it back up. So I wrote 1. And that was one of them. The other one is actually one we mentioned before, and I'll say it again though. It was when Balin throws the rock at Ahsoka, and Ahsoka does that like move and slices at the same time. Just 2 masters at their best. The power from Balin, the speed and agility of Ahsoka as she goes. I mean, the whole Balin Ahsoka fight is for me one of them, but I'll take that specific moment as my favorite action beat of the week.
That was also a good read from Balin there because he also had Ahsoka with one holding her saber with one hand pushing, and she's kind of like leaning back, kind of like she does. It shows that she like leans back.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of people a lot of the lightsaber stabbed through the gut apologists, defenders. Right. They're like, oh my God, he slashed her across the chest. He didn't slash her across the chest. He hit her lightsaber blade and knocked her off balance.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, then let's move on to our next little bit. We call this one.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.
Laugh it up, fuzzball. What's our favorite comic moments of the week? Our funny bits. Not a lot of humor this week, not going to lie, but I did find one that I appreciated. For me, it was the moment where Jason asks Hera, like, why do I have to do what I'm told? You don't have to, basically. She just turned and goes, well, when you're a general, you can disobey orders too. And then Chopper's like, you don't feel Chopper's like, he's damn right. It's the Hera I know and love kind of thing. Just made me chuckle a little bit, made me laugh a little bit, made me smile. How about you? Did you have a funny moment of the week?
Mine's from the same moment, and I've got very good at understanding what Chopper's saying.
Right.
Like I can hear it now.
Right.
I think it is Dave like enunciating more and like being a bit more clearer. It's when Hera tells Jason to strap in, and then you just hear Chopper in the back go, "Yeah, strap in."
Our favorite little genocidal droid.
He like, they don't subtitle. I think they should subtitle Chopper. It would make it like a lot easier.
I don't think they do that in Disney Plus. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Little asterisks, a lot of asterisks, a lot of stars, a lot of exclamation points, upside down, whatever. A lot of symbols. All right, then let's rate this episode. Scale of 1 to 11, because we always turn it up to 11 here on PLD Projects. This has been an easy one for me. It's an easy one. 11. Favorite episode of the series so far. Easily a favorite episode of the series so far. Quite frankly, might be one of my favorite Disney Plus Star Wars episodes we've gotten. It just fed my soul Star Wars soup. And it was so good going down, and it warmed my body, it warmed my soul. I loved it. I loved every little bit of it. Great action, great moments. I wish there's a little more humor. I had a little nitpicky things here and there about the Zeb not being there, et cetera, but otherwise, loved it. Perfect, loved it. So, what about you?
I'm gonna give it a 10. You give it a 10 solely because the fact that they are doing a mid-season event in the movie, in the cinemas, for the episode directed by Filoni, shit is about to happen. And we're all gonna like just bow down.
You know what? Let's just go right into.
I'm not here to discuss my past.
Talk about the past. We're talking about our future now. This is our section where we actually talk about either anything like next episode, or weeks from now, or in the Ray movie, or anything that's going to happen in the future. Predictions. Well, I'm talking about this. I'm going to go right into next week's episode. Next week's episode, I had heard rumors even before the series began that this was the most important episode, or the most thought of episode. This was going to be the big one. This is what I've heard. It made sense when I found out that Dave Filoni was writing it. This is the one that he wants to direct and write and get into. After we see the finish of the episode this week, I agree. Next episode is going to be the big one. And here's my prediction. We are not getting a lick with Baylan, Shin, or Morgan, or Hera, or Chopper, or anybody next week. Maybe at the very end of the episode, they might drift over and show Baylan and company arriving at the other side of the galaxy, potentially. That's going to be it. This whole episode is going to be a World Between World episode. It's going to mostly be Ahsoka and Anakin. And I have a feeling that there would be a conversation that was long needed. And I think we're going to get a bunch of looks at other places in the World Between Worlds, other what if timelines, what if things could have been, what happens if we had taken so-and-so out, what happens if you had stuck around, what happened if we had done this, all so that Ahsoka can kind of heal. Because Ahsoka's always had her problem of, I left Anakin, I did it for the right reasons, but what would have happened if I had stayed? I think we're going to get a look at that what if, potentially. I think Dave wants to go down that route. And Anakin's going to show her that. And at the end of the episode, Ahsoka will understand where she needs to be, that she didn't do anything wrong, and that she did everything. She can't blame herself. She's got to be the Jedi she needs to be now. Concentrate on the here and now, as you would say. And that's how she's going to get to the other galaxy, is Anakin's going to open up some kind of portal from a world between worlds to a different part of the galaxy. And that's how Ahsoka's going to jump over. That's my thought on that. What is your Force vision of the week?
Something ain't right.
Okay.
I don't know why Anakin would appear in his Revenge of the Sith garb and they would use part of Vader's theme.
Mm-hmm.
Like they wouldn't do that unless there was a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Is this may be all some kind of not hallucination, but like the train station scene in The Matrix Reloaded.
Okay.
She's kind of like in the middle. No, she's not dead. She's not alive. She's just like in the middle somewhere.
In like purgatory or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and like the world between worlds is kind of like a purgatory, and she's maybe like her own subconscious and her connection to the Force, because she is the sister reincarnate. Maybe she is projecting Anakin herself.
So Anakin's from her head, you're saying, maybe eventually.
Yeah. Because it's like she's viewing that Anakin, like the last Anakin that she saw. If it was the Force ghost, would it not have been Vader at the end of his life?
Possibly. Well,
I know we got the special edition where Hayden appears and everything at the end. Cool. That's probably just because like they were like, let's just have Hayden do it because that'd be a cool thing to do. It would make more sense to me that if it was going to be Anakin as like Anakin, would it not? Because Qui-Gon appeared as he did at the end. It wasn't like he'd age forwards or he'd age backwards when he appeared to Obi. I'm sure Obi-Wan would have loved to have seen his master. Like his fondest memories of Qui-Gon were probably when Obi-Wan was a lot younger. So that's what makes me think. Is it her manifesting because she is so powerful with the Force? She's the sister reincarnate at this point. Is she manifesting Anakin herself?
Possibly, but I would poke a little hole in that, as I think that the idea is that Anakin, as a Jedi, died on Mustafar. It goes into the whole thing. Anakin was a Jedi no more after Mustafar. So when he died, became one of the Force. He goes back to the Force Ghost as a Jedi, and that's where he was last a Jedi to a degree. I mean, he was already kind of a Sith at that point when they were fighting, but around that time, in that section, was where he was when he stopped being a Jedi and started being a Sith Lord. That's what he wants to remember: the good, not the bad.
Do you feel like they kind of like hit the pause button, and they were like, this is a snapshot. Like this is the backup. This is the last backup that we have of this guy.
Pretty much, I do think so. It's up in the cloud, up in the world between world clouds. That's what it is. Download this. Reboot from last save point. That's what I think, potentially.
Okay.
But I don't disagree with the rest of your theory. The rest idea of your theory is the fact that she could be powerful enough to manifest Anakin, and it would be the Anakin she wants to see, the Clone Wars Anakin during Clone Wars that she had her adventures with, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be an interesting way. Either way, I can't wait for next week's episode. I'm actually I think I'm going to take the week off of work. I think again, because
the whole week.
No, that's a week, the whole day. I hold that night off so I can kind of like, I don't think I'll be able to go to work after that. I think I'll be able to have like sit with that for a bit and have conversations even with myself over what's going on, because I'm going to love this episode so much. I'm so excited. I'm trying to hype myself up too much because there's a danger in hyping yourself up too much. Danger of like, it could never meet anything that is in your imagination. But Dave always does a good job of getting close. So I can't wait. I'm excited.
I'm at this point, I'm like, Filoni Taylor. I haven't, like, I know we're giving our Force visions and everything. I have no idea where this could go at this point. I'm just like, Dave, do your thing.
It's wide open. It really
do
is.
You, Bubby?
Open. It's wide open. Alrighty, let's get to our final segment of today. This is a special segment. If this is your first time here, hit that hit subscribe, click on or leave the audio reviews. All that kind of stuff does help us out. We're getting closer to 500 subscribers. We're getting somewhere in the 430s now. We're getting there slowly but surely. If you want to help out even further, you can join patreon.com/PLD projects. We have a great crew of people on our Facebook chat, et cetera, people like Austin Goodell, the aforementioned and soon to be mentioned Jeremiah Morris, Matthew Kearns, Brandon Buckingham, Jeff Altman, amongst others. Couldn't do this guy without you. We really appreciate all you do here at PLD Project. It all goes right back in the channel via StreamYard versus Zoom versus thumbnails, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, we love you guys so much, and I think we have a lot of fun. So yeah, and if you can't, I totally understand. It's time. It's nuts and everything else. If you can do your best, just share it, get it out, get the word out there. Let's grow this bad boy out there. But speaking of patron, Patreon and patrons and lovely friends, supporters, seasonal co-hosts,
Seasonal co-host.
as Matty Gunner has deemed us, my friend and yours, Mr. Jeremiah Morris. Welcome to Holy Snokes.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Whoop, there he is.
There is
Great
Jerry.
episode so
Thank
far.
you,
Great episode.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that as always.
Yeah, I think Filoni's done a great job. So, oh, you mean the podcast? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks,
Jerry, if the folks don't know you or your background, give us a little history of like your Star Wars love and why you love it so much. Brief.
So
I know go forever, but
I grew up in San Diego and Iowa, and my mom was not a big fan of TV. TV was for watching baseball and watching The Price is Right and Jeopardy. So that was it. And then pretty much once a week when growing up in San Diego, we were allowed to pick a movie. Everybody as a family got to pick a movie. And 9 times out of 10, it was an argument every single time. And it would go around, and basically we would eventually land on Star Wars. So it was the one thing everybody in the family could agree on.
There you go.
So that's the brief history. That's the start of my love. And it has grown and gotten bigger and better since then. But that's where it started.
Nice. Very nice. Of course, I can't help but notice your wonderful shirt there. Obviously, you're also a big animation fan as well, so same as me.
Rebels is my favorite TV show of all time.
Fair enough. And that's your favorite? Is it your favorite Star Wars
TV
property?
show, like overall TV show?
Overall.
Wow.
You know how much I love Scrubs.
I was gonna say
of
you're a big like myself. You're a big Scrubs guy.
Yeah.
Does not surprise me in the slightest, and I'm here for it. Jeremiah has always been one of the most positive Star Wars people I've ever talked to. Ever. I'm talking ever. He is like his love for Star Wars is just so pure and so innocent. It's amazing. If you ever get a chance to talk to Jeremiah about Star Wars, you will just leave with a smile on your face. I'm not gonna lie. Rebels, I get it. Rebels is one of my favorites. Is that your favorite Star Wars property as well, just in general? Like, do you like in the movies more, or is Rebels it?
Rebels is close, but Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars property.
Mark
I love
Ellis
that
is
movie.
somewhere beaming right now.
And Mark Ellis is loving that. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. That makes sense actually makes sense for you too. I'm not even going to say that as like that's not meant to be an insult. It just fits your personality, like Return of the Jedi being the hopeful, the power, optimistic ending and everything. That's very much so.
I love happy endings. Absolutely love
Absolutely. I get it. I totally get it. Empire Strikes Back is mine, of course. That says something about me. I'm a dark side. I guess I love the sad endings, I guess. But we'll go from there. Jeremiah, I gave you, Jerry, the list of stuff, and I'm going to let you have the floor on some of your favorite moments of the week and everything else. Why don't we start out with, obviously, you don't need to do the once a rebel, always a rebel, because we did that. Your favorite character, the Master. Who is your favorite character of the week?
I wanted it to be somebody else, but it's Balin. Because once you guys started talking, I'm like, who can I do that's not Balin? But he knocked it out of the park.
So good.
I forgot that Ray Stevenson had asked for a second there. And I'm like, I can't wait to see. I hope the character survives, and I can't wait to see what they do with him.
Right.
He's so interesting. And this episode made him even 10 times more interesting.
Agreed.
There's this one part, and I hope we're not taking too long here, but there's this one part where when he gives Sabine his word that she wouldn't be harmed, and then the screen pans, he goes out of shot, and it's just Sabine, and she starts choking. And I'm like, wait, no, this is not the way Balin is supposed to act. I already have this in my mind, how he's the other side of the coin for Ahsoka, but he's still honorable.
Right.
And I was like, no, he can't be turning her back. Like this, no. And then it's his apprentice. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yep. And Balin stops it, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and stops.
My word.
And stops it. And I was like, I already was so invested in that character that I was getting mad in the split second that I thought they betrayed the character by
After 4 episodes.
Yeah. I was like, no, this makes no sense. And that's how much I loved him. And he did a great job through this whole episode. Absolutely amazing.
He reminds me a lot of Qui-Gon in that he seems like he is very much of this is what the Jedi are supposed to be. Like he doesn't want to fight. He's like he will do, but he's just like, look, I don't want to fight you. I don't want to kill you, but like you're in my way, so I'm gonna.
He
have
has
to.
a goal. He has a goal. He doesn't care if you're good or bad or indifferent. If you're in the way of his goal, he's going to go through you, but only as much as he needs to. He's not going to have joy in it. He's not going to get like any love out of doing it. Like kind of remind, because I kind of remember. I kind of go back and go, this is the guy when we first got introduced was tearing through New Republic soldiers to get Morgan out. So it's not. He is not a Jedi anymore for sure. But I feel like he doesn't get joy out of it. It's just he has his mission and he's got to go with it. And if you're in his way, it's unfortunate, but he's got to do what he's got to do. But if the guards got out of his way, he'd be like, okay, let him go. Because he was gotten what he needed not to get out.
He tried to walk past him.
Yeah.
And then Colonel Numbnuts just put his Captain Numbnuts just put his hand on him. He was like, hold up, buddy. He's just like, dude, just let him go.
Yeah. You're gonna lose this battle. But yeah, absolutely. All right, then, Jerry, what about your favorite line of the week? Do you have a favorite line of dialogue?
My favorite line of dialogue will not be my favorite line of dialogue in probably a week to 2 weeks.
Fair.
But it's when Carson Teva says, okay, Phoenix later. That right there got me so much. And here's the reason. Okay. The reason it'll change over time. But I loved that what Dave Filoni has done, and you could tell someone that actually put into the work and knows what's going on in the universe.
Right.
But that line right there says, it's not something that, as much as I love some of the other Star Wars properties, there's people you can tell that are just almost Google search what this character and got the big things, but didn't get the intricacies of it.
Right. Right.
That right there showed me this. Whoever wrote this episode, I'm assuming Dave Filoni had a big hand in it, knew Rebels. Phoenix Squadron is not something 90% of people are going to care about.
Right.
Or even know about.
Right.
But to somebody like me who loves Rebels, who Phoenix Squadron, I saw the birth, I saw the death, I saw everything, the rebirth, all of it. It meant so much to me just hearing him say Phoenix Squadron. It almost like he put that in for me.
It is
and
just for you.
I
Jerry.
love that one.
Just for you. I appreciate that too. I love that. That was a great line. It's a great choice. I love Carson.
It's one of those lines. Like I didn't even think about it. I didn't even consider it because it was just so like, oh yeah, of course. Like that's Hera. She's Phoenix leader. Of course. Like of course they're gonna say that. But then like I was just like, thinking about as we said when we started talking about this show, like we watched Rebels, so we're kind of like, well, yeah, duh. But like Jerry, obviously you saying that Rebels is your favorite TV show of all time, and it's like one of your main, like it's your second favorite Star Wars property. The fact that just that little line, that like it's a, and I don't mean this in any disrespect, it's kind of a throwaway line. Like you don't need it in there, but the fact that they put it in there, like you said, it's almost like they put it in there specifically for you.
Yeah, it means absolutely nothing. I'm going to talk to my mom, who's never seen Rebels, in probably a couple hours about this. And that line would mean zilch.
Nothing, right?
Nothing.
Absolutely. But for you,
but it means something to me. And like that little thing means they put in the work. And obviously, because Dave Filoni was part of Rebels, he didn't have to do exactly what other people would do coming into it, all that. But it shows that they cared about the characters.
Right.
So that's why that line. 10 years down the line, when I'm watching this again, I probably won't mean as much because it's been there. But it means a lot right now.
Absolutely fair. Absolutely fair. All right, let's move on then to your next segment, which is, of course, explore more lore. What do you want to see more explored at this point from this episode?
This is kind of out of there, but Merrick being whatever he is. Because when he gets cut open, I was not expecting him to be. I'm assuming he's a risen Night brother, risen Eighth brother, whatever.
Right.
But that means, what's her name? I'm forgetting her name right now.
Morgan.
The witch, Morgan. Yeah, she's way more powerful than I thought she was.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Because all we've ever seen them do that is on Dathomir. Because that's where they're most powerful. We know that from every comic book. Like they derive their power mostly from Dathomir, it seems like.
Right.
And this guy was everywhere, and she wasn't anywhere near him.
That's a good point. Didn't even think about that, to be honest. No.
I want to see how, or like, is it something where he's alive in the next episode because she's that powerful just to revive him again?
Right. Fair enough.
That's what I want to see. Or is it just either way? That's what I want to see more about.
Yeah, I love that idea. I love actually exploring that. The possibility. I mean, they resurrect. Night Sisters can resurrect people all the time. At least the zombie versions of them, as it were.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be kind of cool to see if he does it again. Maybe she'll get desperate again and she'll bring somebody up.
It also makes me think if they do find Ezra, Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, you being the Rebels expert, doesn't Ezra owe a debt to the Night Sisters?
Yes. Well, I mean, yeah, pretty much, yeah. You would say
So
more.
yeah.
Technically speaking, yes, he was part of that deal, and they did not get the souls that they were promised.
That's a good point. I mean, it's not like Dave to forget that. I would forget that myself, but Dave might well forget that. Interesting. I wonder if that comes to play. It very well could. It very well could. Impressive thoughts, Jerry. Getting on the show was I hope people don't steal you away.
No, I love you guys. I'm here for you guys, not for anybody else.
Appreciate that, as always, Jerry. All right, what about your favorite action beat of the week, then?
My favorite action beat, I love the scene with Ahsoka and Sabine when they're fighting the HK droids. Especially if you want to go one beat, where Ahsoka, Sabine looks like she's struggling a little bit. One thing, this is just me fanning out. This made me feel like this sold me on Sabine. Because this was Sabine fighting like Sabine.
Yeah.
Ever since we've seen her, I haven't seen her fight or anything that was like, okay, that looks like Sabine. This right here, that looks like Sabine from Rebels perfectly. Yep. But when the specific beat was when Sabine was struggling for a little bit, and Ahsoka uses the Force and takes one of the droids and covers her.
Oh, yeah.
For a second.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's such good teamwork. They're covering each other. Oh, I loved it. That beat right there, I loved. Showing the teamwork between them.
Showing them right before Huang says, stay together because you guys work well together, because they absolutely do. 100%. I love that. Good point, man. I love that. All right, how about Laugh It Up Fuzzball, your favorite comic moment of the week? Again, not many comic moments, but what do you?
I like when Hera is leaving the ship and she tells the lieutenant, "I'll cover for me." And he just sitting there going, "What?
Uh-huh. Say something. Think of something."
For one thing, Hera needs to get some PTO. Okay.
Yeah.
She can't leave the whole fleet. Like,
good point. Good point.
Yeah, that's part where just your boss, and then I can just imagine being that lieutenant when my boss is doing something wrong and I'm supposed to cover for him. Like, what am I supposed to be doing?
Right. She has a toothache or a lucky. She had a lucky week.
Jason got sick. And she had to take him home.
She went to give
mom. She went to give Chopper an oil bath. Like Chopper brought down an entire planet defense system, and Chopper killed a whole species of creatures. Like there's mass genocide. I don't know. I love Chopper.
Well, the good news if Mon Mothma is a part of that, even though I know she's not irrelevant, if she's there, she'll smile and back him up. That's what it is, because she knows what's going to go on, and she has in the back of her head, oh, I know what Hera's doing. Good for her, kind of thing. So, all right then, Jerry. Parsecs out of 11. What do you rank this episode out of 1 to 11?
I'll give it 10.5. There's little tiny little things that I was like, oh, I wish they could have done this, could have done this, but it's minor things that are like, that's me being very nitpicky, 100%. And that's all it is to it. I don't know what could have put it to 11, but I'm hoping next week's episode is.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I know I'm a little hyperbolic in that. I should say 11. I'll stick with my 11, but I totally understand that as well. I probably actually should have said 10.5 in the next week, but like I said, that Star Wars soup just tasted so good.
I have no problem with people saying 11, because for one thing, you can have more than 11. You can have an 11, and then the next episode can be an 11 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's plenty of things that are 11s for me.
I fully agree. And quite frankly, then it becomes like, well, I could have two things at 11. One might still be better than the other. It's just a higher 11. It's all good. All right, last bit then before we let you go. What are your predictions for next week?
I am open to the Force. Let's put it this way. I am completely open. I had predictions on what was going to happen in this show. Like, even the beat by beats, I was like, Thrawn's going to show up in the last episode. Then everything's going to work until we get to, nothing's going to happen. Basically, they're not going to get to Thrawn till the last episode. Right. And then we're going to see it, and then he's going to somehow escape, and blah, blah, blah. All these things are going to happen. Everything I thought about this show, what was going to happen, thrown out the window. Because, now, I agree that I have no idea what's going to happen next episode. Sorry. And then my timeline for what things are going to happen makes no sense. Because they're already probably in the other galaxy now.
Right.
And I'm like, no idea. I love the idea, though, I don't think they'll do it. I think it's too deep for most people. But I love the idea of the brother being Anakin.
Yeah.
Oh, that one right there. I love that so much.
Thank you.
I did hear a rumor, and this is purely a fan rumor that I saw in a couple of Discord channels. Apparently, we're getting a time jump. Apparently, we're getting a time jump at some point.
Huh.
I did have a quick question for you guys.
Right, absolutely.
And it actually has to do with that right there.
Okay.
So, in The Mandalorian, in the scene where all the bad guys are cowering in their holograms, it seems to imply that Thrawn isn't there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But who is there? Who's representing Thrawn?
What? A Pelion.
Pelion. Yeah. Pelion was in the fleet that Thrawn was in.
Yeah.
So is that scene after Ahsoka?
That's a good question.
I read somewhere that the two series are kind of running in parallel with each other. So I don't know if it's Pelion. Maybe he got off the ship and he's just kind of like bluffing, just to be like, I know where Thrawn is. Like, you're gonna be sorry for like talking bad about my boss.
Well, I would actually go along with that. I kind of feel like it almost be one of those things where Pelion, like Thrawn is such a grand, like general admiral, he's strategist, etc. He might have had in place, if this ever happens, play this card until I get back because I'm going to be back.
It's like his Operation Cinder.
So Pelion has an idea of what to do while he's kind of stalling for time until Thrawn can make his way back. So he was like, yeah, I've been hearing from Thrawn. He's coming back. And he's playing at that until he gets back, potentially.
I get that, but I get that, but I disagree. I think The Mandalorian takes place after Ahsoka, which would, because we don't know exactly when it lines up. Maybe there's rumors they haven't specifically said. And Pelion, they very purposely mentioned Pelion. He's talking to him in the Star Destroyer. Right. And then it's obvious Pelion gets taken away by a Purrgil. And then Thrawn does.
Right.
And so, to me, there is no reason to think it didn't go to the same place.
Absolutely. There's a potential. Well, maybe...
Detective Jerry.
Maybe Pelion found his way back, and maybe Thrawn actually knows how to get back, but he hasn't come back for various reasons. Maybe he's not ready to come back. And Morgan Elsbeth is just trying to speed things along, and she doesn't know what Pelion knows, potentially. That's a good point. It could happen that way. I don't know what to say. We'll have to say there's a lot of different opportunities there. I'm sure it will be laid out at our feet before the end of the season. But yeah. All right, Jerry. Where can the folks find you if they wanted to hit you up on social media, things like that?
I think I got locked out of my Twitter because I forgot the password. So I think I started a new Twitter and I don't remember what that is. So I don't care. I'm going to be on What the Show's Fantasy Football with that guy.
Nice.
Unfortunately, I'm actually not going to be on that. Unfortunately, I could not get out of work. Unfortunately, so I'm literally going to be auto drafting.
They're just going to stop. They're going to stop inviting you on their channel because you bailed on our music stream. You're bailing on their fantasy football thing.
Yeah, I was there the other time for one of the things I did. I can't remember what it was. I crashed their stream for something. I tried. I couldn't help it. But I'm auto drafting anyway, so I don't really have to be there. You guys can have so much fun laughing at me and my crying.
Yeah, I'm going to be. I love Paul, Star Wars, and Paul, simpatico, everything like that. Football, me and Paul, mortal enemies.
Mortal enemies. You
Mortal
goddamn
enemies.
Packer fan. You goddamn Packer fan. Don't remind me of that. Speaking of that, we're
And
playing this
week
too,
one.
for Christ's sake. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. That's what I want. That's what I want to see. Hopefully,
I
I'll be
love
able
We
to
have
see
you on now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next week, I
Much
probably
better.
won't be invited on.
Yeah,
Because the
definitely.
Packers are going to win, and Paul's going to be mad,
Hey,
and the love
Trey,
era has started.
why don't
So,
you come on next? Why don't you come on next week anyway? And then I'll cancel on you if what happens on Sunday.
deal.
Depending on what
I'll
happens.
plan on coming on next week.
All right, brother. Always good to see you. I love having you here, and you're a wonderful friend, a wonderful supporter, and yeah, what else I can say? You're the man. So take care of
you.
yourself. We'll see you next time.
See you.
All right, that was the wonderful Jeremiah
What a
Morris.
gem.
What a gem indeed, Jared the Gem.
Genuinely one of the best people I like to talk to about Star. I don't like talking about Star Wars on the internet because it's full of a cesspool of. But then you get the odd, like, bright sparks, and Jerry is one of the brightest of the bright sparks.
Absolutely, the brightest kyber crystal in the whole lot there at this point. So, all right, it's time for us to wrap up as well. Maddie, where can the folks find you?
You can find me. I have new accounts everywhere, so just follow me at Matty Morner everywhere.
Matty Morner. Okay, fair enough. In fact, I'd make a new underlayer on here, huh? All right. Well, you can find me at Paul _Denuzio on Twitter. You can find me at PLD Products on Threads. Paul Denuzio on Blue Sky, all that kind of good stuff. I'm all over those places. But you can find me, most importantly, find me here and wherever you listen to your audio podcast, Spotify, Audible, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We have 4 podcasts we do. We do Holy Snokes on a weekly basis. We do review, me and Lego, going over the sci-fi franchise of the 80s, V. Wonderful time there. And, of course, every week I do my Crown Jewels Queen podcast. This week's episode on Friday, a big one of the biggest songs in Queen's catalog's history. It is, of course, Somebody to Love. One of the greatest of all time. And then finally, of course, me and PJ Campbell, 2 mediocre white dudes on film, just dropped off our latest episode of Friday the 13th, part 3, as we work our way through that horror franchise.
That is on my. That is currently on. I think it's like 2 or 3 of my watch later list.
Nice. We had a lot of fun episode actually, and got into the idea of what would happen if we made Jason into a Saturday morning cartoon. It's an interesting. Listen, we'll get into that. But that's it for this week. Of course, next week we'll be back talking about this big ass episode we got coming up, which I can't wait for. But that's neither near nor there. I think that's all of our business. Stay tuned till next week. Love you guys, and of course, as always, may the force be with you always.